Well, hope you guys are having a good day. Hope you guys are having a good day. So, again, I'm repeating myself now. Like I said earlier, the way this talk is going to go, we're going to start off. While I'm talking about the event in general, I'm going to be having the multiplayer footage on behind me. We got to play 3 games. The one new game mode called Control, and then there was Hardpoint, and then there was also Dom. But that will be going on behind me. But that will be playing there. So we'll talk about the event first, and just kind of everything that happened, what my schedule, I'll say schedule in quotes, was like. We'll go throughout that day, and then we'll go into the zombie side of things, talking to Jason and Craig, and talking to Lee Ross as well, and all those things. But again, before we get even more crazily into anything at all, I do need to thank Activision and Treyarch just for the opportunity in general. You're going out there and just being at the event itself. Like, I really can't even put into words what it was like sitting there and seeing things that I've been crazy about. Like, just, I mean, forever. And actually, like, experiencing that in person. Like, there's one thing to sit in a live stream and to be like a new game be announced and features that you've been looking forward to. But to be there in person was such a different level and experience. It was amazing. But again, thank you, Treyarch and Activision, for flying me out there, letting me do it all. I still can't thank you enough for it. It was an absolutely amazing experience. But before, I guess we'll just go ahead and bring up the gameplay now, guys, and we'll just kind of start talking about the trip and everything. So, okay, here you go. So, okay, so this was the first game. Let me know if the volume is good for you guys or not in the stream as well. So, okay. Well, I'll talk about the multiplayer later. Well, we'll start talking about the event first. One thing I want you guys to keep out for this first game, if you're gonna be watching the multiplayer, is the first game I played Ruin, and with Ruin you can do the grapple slam thing, and it's so fun. It is so fun to do. But let me know if the volume ends up being too loud or too quiet for it. And I guess we'll just kind of go ahead and start doing it and everything and talking about the trip. So I flew out Wednesday, right? Flew out Wednesday. I flew through the Atlanta. Oh my! I don't like the Atlanta airport.
Taking Charlie.
Maybe it's just me, but I don't like the Atlanta airport. I've had bad experiences
Charlie
now every time I've gone through there.
But
anyway, went through Atlanta, got there Wednesday night, and as soon as I got there, it's just like as soon as I got to the hotel and everything, just instantly saw everybody. I walked in, and the first group of people I saw was Reed, Rizzo, MJPW, Greg, Nixaru. They were all just sitting there. It was just cool, like instantly being around all these people and all these friends and everything. Is the gameplay loud? Is it? I can turn it down. Okay, I can turn it down. Just let me know if it's too loud or whatnot.
Securing Bravo.
But it was just cool instantly walking in and just seeing everyone and everything be there instantly. You can't hear the gameplay. Would you shush?
Bravo locked down.
Turn it down. But I don't know, just being around other fellow creators and everything. I don't get that opportunity often living out in West Virginia, out in the middle of nowhere. You know, it's cool just getting to hang out with your friends and everything. So the first night, it was all to ourselves. We just hung out. A bunch of us ended up going to Buffalo Wild Wings. It was like Noah, T. Martin, Lex, JC, Reed, Nixara, Greg. We all went there and whatnot. I had my first ever Blazing Wing there. I will say, it starts off not bad, but it starts getting very, very worse afterwards. It starts getting very, 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 very worse after it. But that was fun. Got to hang out with everyone there. And then, I mean, that was, again, the first Wednesday, it was just all to ourselves. We got to do whatever we want. Just, yeah. So next day, obviously, was the event reveal day. So we had to wake up. We went down to the lobby. We had to pick up our badges and everything. Had to pick up our badges and our some of our goodie bags and everything. And at first, a bunch of us got really mad because they were handing out the posters, which thankfully I didn't bend mine on the plane, which I still haven't wrapped up just because I'm not sure where I'm going to put it. But they were handing out these posters at the hotel check-in, but they ran out of them really fast. So a bunch of us were like, "Why are we not going to get posters? Like, what is up with this and everything?" But they ended up having more posters for us to grab at the actual event and everything. But, checked in there, and then we got on a bus, and the reveal event was in actual airplane hangars, which was really cool. They had 2 hangars side by side. One hangar was just the entire reveal side, for where we went in, to where you guys saw in the live stream. They showed off the trailers, talked about things a little bit. One entire hangar was just that. I put a video of it on Twitter and Instagram of it, but it was so cool. It was very loud though. I have a funny story later to talk about the sound system that we heard about from Craig, but it was very loud and very bass heavy. It was pretty intense. We all got in there. We ended up sitting down, and obviously they started off with the multiplayer trailer and reveal and everything. The thing that at first that I saw that was the most interesting for me, coming from the multiplayer trailer, was just obviously the specialists are back and everything, but they supported much more of a support style specialist system with a bunch of these dudes, other than like what they did with BO3. I feel like for me, again, I'm not a multiplayer guy, I'm a zombies guy, but it felt like this one is already attuning more to, yeah, not as many lethal. That's a good way of placing it. Much more tactical, but still with the fast pace. One thing I'm really sad, the one specialist I really wanted to play, didn't get to play. It's called Nomad, and it has the dog. I really wanted to play with that one, but it wasn't available. Whenever I'm playing multiplayer, it's more than likely going to be that one. Oh, here it is! Oh, it's so fun. The grapple with the... it's so fun. The grapple with the slam. But anyway, so yeah, so they showed off the multiplayer trailer. Everybody went crazy. Everyone lost their shit, you know. It was absolutely crazy, right? And then after that, obviously they went over. Well, I'm trying to think. Was it Blackout next, or was it Zombies next? I think they ended with Blackout, if I remember right. Pretty sure they ended with Blackout.
Stay in the zone.
It was Zombies. Okay, I got them backwards. Obviously, then they went to Zombies. And did you guys? I don't know if you could see this on the stream. But on the screen, like behind Jason and whatnot, they showed like alchemical symbols, and then they showed Jason's name. I don't know if you could see that on the stream, but they showed that there, and obviously Jason got up there. I mean, you could tell the majority of the place was like multiplayer, but you could tell where the Zombies dudes were in the crowd. Anytime there was anything, you could tell in where they were at and everything. And obviously, the first thing they showed was 9, if I remember right. And they were showing off the new thing. And for me, I'm the most interested in 9. I love the combat arena and what it could potentially be. I don't know. That was the one that was the most interesting to me. Absolutely went crazy over that one. Absolutely went crazy over that. And then obviously after that, they showed Voyage of the Dead, which right now, I think according to the YouTube numbers, Voyage of the Dead is the most popular or the most interested right now. I think it's where more of the interest has been. Is Despair not dead? Did I not say Voyage of Despair? Did I say dead? Oh, okay, Voyage of Despair, sorry. That one, like, it looked cool. At first, it reminded me of Call of the Dead. Just because, like, there was the vent tube. And I have the zombie trailers. We'll watch them whenever I start talking about the zombie stuff. But at first, I just had feels of Call of the Dead. You know?
Losing A.
Because there was the trap thing with, like, the air vent tube. to where they could get into the safe room. And then, I mean, obviously the snow part, but anyway, that's besides the point. They did that, and then Jason came back on stage. And one thing I was curious, and some people said you could see them, was the blood vials. Because Jason, like, he was talking and then he turned around. I think he talked to Vaughn for a second or something. All the zombie guys were like, oh my god, there's the blood vials. And people said you could see them on stream. People said you could see them. But we were just like, he actually brought blood vials with him. And actually later on, at the mixer after the event, he gave the blood vials to Nixari, which was really cool. Actually, like, being there and seeing them in person. But he gave them the Nick. And that was a really, really cool thing to see. But obviously, then after that, it showed the Blood of the Dead trailer, which... that made everyone go crazy as well. Like, well, okay, it made the zombies dudes go crazy and everything. But the one thing that I wanted before, and I was saying this on previous streams, is I wanted to know about game modes. I wanted to know about those types of things and everything. I wanted to know if they were going to be doing game modes. And when they announced mutations and callings, I remember I looked at COD Zombies HQ. I was just like, yes. I was so excited about that. And then Jason also talked about like how if you do like the custom mutations and everything, how after each game you get like that little link and it tells you what all of those stats are per game and everything. One thing to know about this, I'll just go ahead and mention this now. Those like end game stats from mutations, those are only per game. They're not like overall like career stats. They only show your stats per game. That's all that they track. Because we asked Jason later about some stuff like that, and he said it was only purely going to be like that. So, but yeah, so I mean, eventually that was essentially the zombies side of the playing reveal thing to all of it. And then they showed off Blackout. And when we all saw Rick Toffin on an ATV, we lost our shit. We were just like, they actually did it. We weren't expecting them to do that. Because, you know, typically it's like everything has to be canon. They can't do something related to zombies without it tying into the storyline. And we saw the zombies crew and like Rick Toffin on that ATV. we just started staring at each other. We were just like, they actually did it. we were so surprised. They just, oh my lord. But then that was the end of the reveal. It was, again, actually being there in person for all of that, I still can't even explain it. Like, it's just, I don't know. Again, it's one thing to sit there and just kind of experience it, like from a live stream, and be like, yay, my favorite game just got announced, there's really cool features. But when you're surrounded by, I think there were like, ended up being about 400 or 500 people at the thing. There were like, if I remember right, there were about 150 to 200 content creators at this event. And then I don't know exactly how many were the press/fan side of things. But if I remember, I think I heard about there was 400 or 500 people at the event. Just being in a room surrounded with as many people that care about it as much as you, it's such a different experience. It's such a different experience. But then obviously after that, then it was the whole gameplay side of things. The hangar directly to the side of it was one half of it was entirely for the PS4 side, and then the other half was entirely for the PC side. They had both stations set up. Everything was there. We only played the PS4. We could have played the PC, but we didn't really feel like playing PC. Because we were watching some of the PC monitors and playthroughs and everything. And I mean, and to be fair, and they even said this, I mean, it's the BO3 engine. Don't be sitting there and expecting a lot of change. Like, it's going to be more optimized. They're going to improve it. But it is the BO3 engine, right? So there's not going to be anything crazy or anything like that. So we're like, okay, BO3 on PC. Obviously, I was watching some dude who was playing with greater FOV. It looked like it fisheyed a little bit, but I mean, that's just how BO3 is if you play on max FOV. but it was running super smooth on PC. I will see that. And you'll see in my last game, my game broke. This is the second lobby. Okay. We'll talk about the gameplay. Yeah, we'll jump into gameplay here in a second, but I forget where I was just going. I completely lost my train of thought. Where was I going with that, chat? Oh yeah, PC was super smooth. Although this is even pre-alpha gameplay and everything, it looked like it was still super smooth. And I mean, on PS4, my game crashed once. It was a really weird bug error, and then my gun ended up being invisible after it. I mean, again, it's pre-alpha, but for even being pre-alpha, and at least in my opinion, it ran really, really smooth. It ran very, very smooth. I was kind of surprised. But so for the zombie dudes, the majority of our recording events was after our first Q&A with Jason and Craig. I'll come to that later because I'm gonna tie all the zombie things together. So we'll just go ahead and talk about all the multiplayer and everything now. So in the real life spectrum, we did our Q&As with Jason and Craig, and then we went and we recorded on PS4, which is this gameplay, or is what you're seeing now. And then essentially, I mean, that was it until the mixer later that evening at the hotel, to where we just had drinks and we're talking to people and everything as well. So to talk about the gameplay more specifically, this is the new game mode, which I don't know. It's like we were trying to think of something that compared to it, to where it was an objective type game mode with a set amount of lives. Because at first, well, okay, my recording group, it was all zombies people with one person. It was MJPW, Nixaru, me, COD Zombies HQ, and Syndicate. And we were going against Reed, Quinn, JC, Chopper, and some random that got placed with us. I don't know who he was, but someone else was there as well. So we were all just playing for fun, you know. We weren't really going too crazy at it. We were just wanting to experience it and have fun with it.
Control.
And like whenever we started playing this, we were like, oh, it's like search. And we didn't even realize there was a life limit till the second round. We were like, oh, you only have so many lives. But it was cool. I mean, I liked it. I will definitely say that. I really, really liked it a lot. Like, it definitely, especially with new specialists that are much more tactical based, it makes game modes like this a lot more fun, to where if this was in BO3, it wouldn't be fun at all whatsoever. But anyway, this is the second game that we played. After this was Hardpoint. But this lobby I tried out. Okay, let me backtrack for a second. First game lobby, if you saw me playing, I was doing the Specialist Ruin. He had the grapple ability, and then his super was the gravity slam, or the spike slam, I should say. That was his super. I did that the first game. I loved that. That was super fun. Super, super, super fun. And then this one, I tried out Recon, which was the best way to say it was Widowmaker from Overwatch. It's almost identical to Widowmaker. But I liked it. I mean, her special ability was she shoots that dart, and that sends up like that mini UAV for a short period of time, which I like that. And then the third game, I think I played Recon as well, so that wasn't too crazy or anything. I didn't get to try out many of them, but even more on the Specialist, it's exactly like Rainbow Six, because per game you can only choose one of each specialist. And at first that caught me a bit off guard, because it's not like you don't go in order of picking, it's just first come first serve. If you get the specialist, good for you. If you don't get it, well, then you're out of luck. You just kind of have to hope that someone switches off of it. Which you can change your specialist mid-game. You can change your specialist mid-game, and your classes aren't tied to your specialists, by the way. So that was another thing too. So, and this is the one thing a lot of people have also been asking me with the new game mechanics as well, was the health pack. The health pack was very, I don't know how to feel about it. It's new. I think it's just something that will take getting used to. But in this pre-alpha gameplay, the thing that I disliked the most was the body armor. because the body armor, it's flak jacket, but it's flak jacket that also gives you more bullet health. And I didn't like it personally. It increased the time to kill, but overall in general, it was just. I hope personally, I hope they nerfed the bullet health on it a little. It wasn't. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. The stim shot, I tried the insta heal stim shot, and that thing recharges instantly. I don't remember if it was this game or if it was the next game that we played, but I tried out the insta stim, and that thing charges up fast. Like, you heal, and I think it's about 2 seconds later, you can instantly heal again. It's pretty fast of how quick you could do that. Pretty fast. But I think in terms, okay, I can't really think of anything else. Do you guys have questions about multiplayer? Well, because we have this and we have one more gameplay of multiplayer after this. Do you guys have anything you can think of multiplayer base wise that I can try to answer? Because again, obviously I'm zombies. I have a lot of stuff to talk about zombies, but multiplayer, it was cool to experience, and I liked it. It's just, again, I'm not a hardcore multiplayer. Does it feel like any of the other Black Ops games? I mean, it feels like BO3. It feels like Black Ops 3 with new specialists, is how it felt to me. It wasn't, again, it's not anything revolutionary, not anything new, game crazy, you know? It felt like that. Were knives still insta-kill in multiplayer? I didn't try. Oh! I'm glad you, speaking about things I didn't try, but I did hear about. Before the event, one thing I wanted to see come back from the last 2 Call of Duties was weapon inspections. I didn't try it, but if I remember right, Reed told me he tried it, and you couldn't weapon inspect. Hopefully that gets added into, like, the later versions of the game. But at least in this version, you could not weapon inspect. So, was the sniping good at all? I didn't snipe at all. I know Noah did some sniping gameplay. I think Dalek did some sniping gameplay as well. I myself did not. So, what were the streaks? I mean, the basic streaks. And also with AC-130s back. I know Noah got an AC-130. I didn't really go for streaks. I got a couple Hellstorms, but I didn't go do anything crazy at all whatsoever. Because I tried out all the assaults. I tried out a couple of the SMGs. I wanted to see what the rocket launcher was like.
Utilizing TAC deploy beacon.
Our TAC deploy beacon is off.
And I'm not sure what else. I think no, I didn't try the shot. You can have a shotgun as your secondary weapon. That was different. Because I remember even Syndicate was saying over the microphone, like, you can have a shotgun as your secondary? And I was like, oh, wow, you can. That seemed a little weird. But, I mean, it might be balanced well, so I'm not 100% sure. Not 100% sure. Another thing, I just thought of this looking at the gameplay and to talk about it. The respawn map that shows up every time you spawn in, the reason that's there is because one of the specialists, I forget which one, their ability is tactical insert, like a attack insert for the entire team. So that's why every time you see me respawning back in, you can choose your spawn location. Well, it's for whenever you have the attack inserts, or for like control points, you can spawn in closer to control points and such. So.
Task CUAV on my beacon.
We're contesting B.
So, okay, what other questions and everything? When is the blackout mode going to be available? I talked to someone that talked to a dev, and they said that the BR mode is scheduled to be there on launch. Someone talked to a dev, and they said it's scheduled to be there on launch. Now, if it sticks to that schedule, we'll see. But that was the schedule that I heard about. No, zombies was not playable at the event. We'll get to zombies in a second. We'll get to zombies in a second. We're gonna keep talking multiplayer for now, and then we'll come back to it. Don't worry, I have a lot of zombies things to tell you guys. Because I talked to Lee, So I got some interesting information about Extinction and Infinite Warfare zombies in general, which I thought was really cool for me. Which Lee's a really chill dude to talk to. I loved getting to meet him. Absolutely loved getting to meet him. But then obviously, I got a lot more information about Treyarch zombies. So, do I think trick shotting is possible? Yes. With the if you play Ruin with the grapple. Okay. So going back, the first game I played Ruin, you have the grapple shot that you can launch yourself across walls and everything. Well, you can break that grapple mid-go, if I remember right. Like, you don't have to go the entire distance of that grapple. So in terms of trick shotting, I could see lots of people trying to grapple, break that grapple, and then trying to do a trick shot. So that would be cool for people that like trick shotting. I think that's going to be a very good specialist for him. So... Oh, let me pause it. Let me go back there a second. Let me go back there a second.
No more chances.
Oh, crap. Okay, I'm going to pause it there for a second so you can see what the class loadout thing is like in-game. That's a thing I didn't talk about yet. I think it was right here. Okay. So this is what the class loadout things are like. Right? So you choose your primary, choose your secondary. Attachment is the pick 10 system. One thing that I thought that was really, really weird. One thing that I thought was really, really weird was right here, the equipment. So every specialist has their own class ability, like I was saying. Like with the Ruin, it's the grapple, right? Well, you have to set that. Because right here, you can put like trophy systems and those type of things, whatnot. But you don't have to have that one person's like secondary ability. You can take that off entirely. But to be able to use it, it takes the slot of like your grenade or a trophy system or something like that. I thought that was interesting. I wasn't expecting that. It was very, very, very weird. And then I didn't try out any of the wild cards. But there were some wild cards to where like you could use double equipment, so you could like then choose the special ability and grenade. Obviously, you sacrifice other things, but it was weird. It was weird, but I saw that. I didn't think I actually had any gameplay stuff of that, so that was interesting just in general to see.
This isn't 0 week. Step it up.
But yeah, what else? What else do you guys have to ask about multiplayer and things of those sorts and such? The kill cams look gorgeous. I like how it starts off on like the third person, like right before it, and then goes into the first person for the kill cams. I thought that was cool. I do like that. Yeah, well, the body armor is what makes it forever to kill. Like, if someone doesn't have body armor, it feels like classic COD time to kill. But with the body armor, it just feels like they take so much more damage. Like, it was definitely the overpowered way to go. But also to counteract the body armor, I forget who I talked to. I think Laggin tried it out. FMJ seemed to kind of bypass the body armor and made it more regular. So... what game mode is this? This is Control. This is the new game mode. This is the new one. What classes have body armor? All of them. You can completely set up the classes however you wanted. The names with the classes were just there to be generic. So. Every YouTuber tried using the ICR remake. Oh, I didn't even touch the ICR. Again, I tried out assault rifles and SMGs. Because those are the guns I always typically use. So those were the ones I was trying out and everything. Yes, you can change specialist mid-game. You'll see whenever I die, it says respawn as a different specialist. Did the maps play well? The first game of Domination was my favorite map. I mean, they changed the way Domination spawning is. At least it seemed like it. But the beach map, I can't think of the name specifically, but that was my favorite map to play. This map, I liked it for Control. It had its different lanes and everything. And then the next map that you'll see was the Hardpoint map, which that one felt very, very close quarters. Contraband was the beach map? Okay. But the next one, that was like the snow base.
Forces are contesting Alpha.
It's very, very close quarters, and well, the passageway of close quarters, and then the middle areas are open. You'll see here in a second, because this is the last round of this. So, are all attachments the same for all guns? For what I saw, yes. Again, I didn't check out snipers, but for SMGs and everything, I think they were. I could be wrong on that though, so don't take my word for that. That's the armor per call-in. Whenever you see the armor pop up, the abilities disrupt the flow of combat. I mean, to a sense, yeah, but it's designed to be like that. Because there's the one specialist that can throw down the barbed wire, and apparently I didn't use that specialist, but the barbed wire specialist, you get crazy amount of score streak points off of that. Crazy amount. Like if you saw when I was using recon, I was getting a lot of points from doing recon. I was getting a lot of points whenever it was active. And the barbed wire, it slows you down. You take about a little bit of damage, and it takes, I think Laggin played against it. I never really came across it. But it takes about a full mag to destroy the barbed wire. And then there's also, what else slows down? There's the shield that you can use to block off pathways. I mean, that's going to change up how people play and such a lot. How many specialists were available? 8. We had 8. We didn't get to play as Nomad, and that was the one I was the most excited for, because I wanted to see what the dog did. Do I see myself playing multiplayer a lot this year? We had a lot of fun. I will say that, because again, me, COD Zombies HQ, and Syndicate, like we were sitting there, like we had microphones we could call out. Like we were doing it for fun, but we were doing call outs like, oh, they're on the right, they're on the right. We were sitting there just calling everything out, and it was really, really fun. By the way, it was really cool to actually be able to play with Syndicate. That was really cool. Wasn't expecting that. It was cool. But it felt fun, and I was saying this before I started to stream a little bit. There were people that I talked to that played against like the professionals and people that played it a lot more seriously, or a lot more sweaty is I guess the way to say it. And they said they were still having fun with it. Like even people that were taking it seriously, they were still having fun.
Making it easy.
So, do I see myself playing it more right now? Yeah. But I mean, time will come. Say, because again, zombies is what I love, and with the mutations and playing customs like that, that's gonna be where I put a lot of my time is.
Recon kill.
Does Syndicate know me beforehand? I only talked to him like once there. I didn't really get to talk to him other than while we were playing the game. So.
Testing hardpoint. Hardpoint lost.
Most of the multiplayer time for you will be the new Dark Matter or whatever it is. Yeah. We didn't hear anything about camos. In regards to zombies and some things, I have stuff that I know, but I'll talk about that later. But for multiplayer, I don't know exactly what's going to be all going on with the camos. I didn't hear anyone talk about that at all. So, oh, okay. Coming up soon is when my game broke. So this was the game where my game broke, and you'll see it. I cut it up because my game was broke for like 5 minutes. Like they had to completely shut off my console, turn it back on, and then they got me back into the lobby for like the ending of it. But this is the map that, I don't know, it's very close quarters, and there was a lot of ways to flank people. I wasn't the biggest fan of this map. So they say how zombie ranks work. I will talk about that later. I will say that. I will talk about that later.
Hardpoint locked down.
What do I think about moving COD to Battle.net from Steam? Well, I mean, Activision Blizzard is, I mean, they're together now. It would only make sense if this was on Battle.net instead of Steam. I think I saw some Twitter article saying it was like, oh, Call of Duty ditches Steam for Battle.net. I'm like, Blizzard is a part of Activision now.
Hardpoint located.
It only makes sense that they go to BattleNet. It was really, really funny. The stim and the armor seem too OP compared to the other equipment things. In this build, yeah, that was the one sentiment that everyone was saying. It was the one thing they all were saying. Is there a headquarters or something similar? They didn't say anything about that. I doubt it, but they didn't say anything like that. One thing I did love, and you can see it a little bit whenever like I was picking classes and everything. And I think at the start of this recording and whatnot, I showed it off. But they brought back like the Destiny cursor to where like you can select things in menus and pick out your class loadouts. I really, really like that. It's such a small, different like change. And I loved like the Destiny cursor being able to select your things on console. It felt really, really nice just to be able to pick your things like that. Were the shotguns one shot with armor? I never came across shotguns. I didn't use them. I tried out once, I think. But no one really used them at all. The attack helicopter. In the game on the first game that I showed, someone was getting like attack helicopters like crazy. And those things are strong. They are very, very, very strong. Like if you're not running cold-blooded, those things melt you. Absolutely melt you. Do you know, I know what the other specialists were that we weren't allowed to use. The only other one that I can think of was Nomad. Because like in the arena themselves, like they had banners for every single specialist. And Nomad was the only one that I saw, because that was the one I wanted to use, again, because I had the dog. But there was nothing else there for it. How was the audio? It felt like, and this was strong. Okay, here's where my game broke. It just did this for like 5 minutes. We were just like, help, help. It just did this for like 5 minutes, and I just had to completely restart the game. And then once I loaded back in, my primary gun was invisible for like the first like minute and a half. You'll see it here. Because it happened to me and Reed at the same exact time.
Secure the objectives.
It was really, really weird, but yeah, see, my gun's invisible.
We've lost the hard point.
And then it just randomly popped back in and whatnot. But I mean, again, it's a pre-alpha build. There was gonna be bugs. It's just how it was and whatnot. But was the player prone? I don't know if it tried spawning two of us in like the same place or something. I don't know.
Hardpoint locked down.
But okay, anything else trying to think of that we've not talked about with multiplayer? Because as soon as this is done, we'll go over to the zombie side of things.
Hardpoint lost. Hardpoint identified.
When's the beta come out? They didn't say. Like, legitimately, I never heard anything about an actual beta date. Oh, I was going to talk about the environment audio. Yes. On the beach map specifically, whenever you jumped in and out of the water, it was super loud. That was the only bad audio balancing I heard for me personally. But yeah, the water was super, super loud. Everything else seemed okay. And it seemed like everyone was running dead silence too. I don't know if that was just, I think because this class, like if you listen, I wasn't running dead silence. I don't think. I might have been, but I very rarely heard feet in general. What do I think about the cluster nade? I didn't use any of the grenades, so I can't answer that. So I can't say anything about that.
Hardpoint identified. Hardpoint locked down.
Lethal out.
Other than that one grenade. Well, see, I didn't. Whenever they reloaded my game back in, it didn't save any of my custom classes, so I just kind of had to use whatever it gave me. What did the hyena perk do? The hyena was cold. I think it was cold-blooded. I don't remember off the top of my head. It was no, it wasn't lightweight. I kind of forget what it was now. Cold was hiding. It might have not been. Was it Scavenger? Okay, maybe. Again, I'm not much of a multiplayer guy. I come from the casual side of the multiplayer in general. So that's the best way I can explain everything. But that was all my multiplayer footage. Again, here's all of the dudes and everything. I used Ruin and Recon. I didn't try out any of the others because it's a first come first serve. But Ruin was so fun, and the slam spikes with the grapple. Oh my lord, it was so fun. It was so fun. It says people are saying it reminds them of BO3. No, it's definitely it feels like BO3 with new specialists and boots on the ground. I will say that. Okay, any last multiplayer things? And then we can move into the really interesting things for me with the zombie side of everything. How easy are the new spray patterns to control? I mean, I didn't have too much of an issue with it. I don't remember using grip much, but I don't remember having too many issues with too much of like... are you talking more about like this weapon kick and sprays such as that? Season pass. Well, this kind of ties into the zombies thing because we tried asking Jason about the season pass, and what he told us was legally I'm not allowed to say anything about what's going to be happening yet about that. So you're not going to be hearing anything with that. Yeah, whoever I was playing with beforehand, or whoever played on my setup beforehand, really changed their setups. I was like, what is this?
Securing Bravo.
No, I know nothing about supply drops or loot boxes. I didn't hear anyone talking about it. You can grapple slam strike at the same time. Yeah, let me see if I can find it real quick. Because I remember I did it to someone on the A point.
B locked down.
I don't remember when it was now. That's the only thing. You get COD points for pre-ordering. Yeah, I saw that. But like they haven't said like how it's going to work for system. Like, okay, let me say it like this. I don't know if there's going to be a secondary currency. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know about that. Oh! That's actually something that I didn't mention or bring up. Oh gosh, where was that? Right there. The scoreboard in game. They've taken the Overwatch approach. You don't see kill deaths or anything. It's all OBJ for at least the objective game types. Who knows what the other ones will be like? But for OBJ, you don't see kills or deaths or anything. At least for everybody. Let me say that. You don't see it for everybody. You see your personal stats. But you don't see everyone's. So that was one thing that I found really, really interesting, to say the least. I would assume so, but
taking Alpha.
I hope so, if it can do that. Again, it's a more optimized BO3 engine is the best way to talk about it. But okay, you said 9067 was the first one. Okay, let me... Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay. This is so fun to do. I did this a couple times. But you just grapple behind someone. That was Reed that I did that too, by the way. It was just... Oh, it's so fun. When I play multiplayer and everything, this is the class I'm going to be going for the most. It's just so fun. It was the most fun specialist that I had. Okay. I can't think of anything else multiplayer-wise that you can't have already seen or that I've answered. So, let's go ahead
Stay in the zone.
and let's jump over to multiplayer. I have all the trailers, and the reason that I have the zombie trailers is because I've not actually watched them to where I could audibly hear them. So, and I was saying this a bit beforehand. Let me back out, get the zombies. Well, I'll get the 9 trailer up first. So we had a couple Q&A sessions to where we could talk to like Jason and Craig Houston and everything. And one thing Craig Houston specifically said in the beginning, or not in, like, or just in the beginning in general, was like the terminology and the phrasing that they used in both the gameplay trailers and what they used on stage was specifically for people like us, meaning like content creators who like to dig into things and such. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. It could mean like they were hiding things that we could pull out early, because like at the event itself, and I said this at the beginning, the audio was so loud and so bass heavy, you couldn't understand what any of the trailer characters were saying. So this might be my first time actually being able to hear these things. So we'll watch all the trailers, and then I'll get into what we were talking about with like Lee Ross. I'll talk about Lee Ross first, and then we'll come back to Jason and Craig and what they were talking about and the things that we were able to learn and such. So let's go ahead. Let's watch all the zombie trailers first, and then we'll go from there. Jason blinked us in Morse code. Okay, let's watch this first. Fate Nation.
For your safe return.
Okay, so all that whispering, we didn't make any of that out at the actual event itself. You could not hear any of that at all. And that's what I really wanted to hear, because that's one thing Craig talked about. Like the whispering was really hard to hear through the speakers. Actually, I'll talk about it between trailers. Craig had a really funny story about a sound check involving Vonderhaar. So, yeah, the whispering you couldn't hear at all. So, in regards to this specific zombies map, a couple things about it. For one, this map has me the most interested. It by far has me the most interested. I saw this and just instantly I lost my shit. I loved it. Like, I'm excited for Voyage of the Despair and everything, but this is the one that really, really, really interested me. Really, 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 really interested me. And then another side note, when it comes to this map, a lot of people had just been like, oh, it's like the Roman Colosseum and everything. Well, when we were talking to Jason and everything, we were talking about how 9 is like that Roman Colosseum style. Jason says to us, oh, well, who said anything about it being Roman? Or who said anything about it being in Rome? So that was interesting. That was our first Jason answer, as I'll call it. So, because it gives like that Roman Colosseum vibe, but then Jason was like, whoever said it was that. And okay, that scene specifically right there, to where it was the zombie coming up on that gate, Craig Houston said that was supposed to be a reference to the Black Ops 3 teaser trailer that they did whenever it was the zombies breaking down the barriers from the Giant. He said it was basically a reference back to that. So that was cool. See, like, yeah, we were trying to scare people with that. We wanted it to feel like whenever people saw the Giant teaser back when we for Black Ops 3. So this part, I was just like, I thought this was cool. I liked it. A lot of people were like, oh, I don't like the alien thing that comes out and whatnot. But that was really cool. One side note that I forget who asked it. I don't remember who asked it at the event, but someone was like, okay, I'm trying to think of how to phrase the question. They said the zombie that we saw at the end of the trailer for 9, was that the boss zombie? Or will you ever do that? And Jason told us that I'm just going to let this play on loop for a little bit while we talk. Jason said they will never put the final boss zombie in the trailer. Ever. So, whatever that zombie alien creature thing was not like a boss zombie. So, but yeah, that was one question that people asked, and he said they would never put like the final boss in the trailer. So, but in regards to 9, let me look through my notes. Was there anything else regarding 9? I typed up all of my notes, so that way I didn't like miss anything. Because we didn't really learn much about these maps, because obviously they're a new storyline. They're okay. This was actually interesting. Not interesting. I don't remember if Jason mentioned this on stage or anything. But when it comes to the new storyline and the 2 new maps, the amount of hardcore things in it, in terms of like, I don't want to say Easter eggs, but like ciphers and type of those things, are going to be toned down significantly. And he was talking about it with us. I don't remember if he said it on the stream or anything, because like when it comes to like the old group, like Primus and that entire storyline, you could put the hardcore ciphers and everything into them, because that's just what it built up to that point in terms of doing ciphers and everything, to where people are already deeply invested into it and wanted to go crazy with it. But with wanting to introduce a new storyline, new characters and everything, there's going to be ciphers and such, but they're not going to be as hardcore. There's not going to be as many. They want people to get invested into this new storyline before he starts going really intense with it and, you know, going down that route with it. Really letting the hardcore people who are deeply invested into it go crazy with it. They want people to get into it, so yeah, they want it to be more friendly, so that way a lot of new people can get introduced. So, but okay, 9. Anything else regarding 9, or can we go over the Voyage? Can't think of anything. Boo. He didn't say Blood of the Dead wasn't going to have hardcore ciphers. So you still have that, Jav. Still has that. Oh, funny story about the sound check. Okay, I'll talk about that while the rest of this trailer finishes. So we were at the Mixer event afterwards. And we were talking to Craig and everything. And we were like, yeah, we didn't hear anything. And he started telling us this funny story. So Vonderhaar was apparently like deadly sick the whole event. Not like deadly sick, I guess, but like he was really, really, really sick. And I couldn't tell that at all from watching the reveal. I couldn't tell he was sick whatsoever. But apparently he has a really bad cold and everything. And they were doing a sound check the night before. And Vonderhaar was up there talking. And he just sneezes into his microphone. And they said they all shit their pants. They all just come. What did? Okay, something just broke or fell. Oh, it was my Guitar Hero controller. Anyway, yeah, they just said that they just shit their pants whenever he sneezed into the microphone. It was they just, oh my lord, it was just funny hearing about that. But yeah, apparently Vonderhaar was just really, really sick. And we couldn't tell. I don't know if you guys could tell on the stream, but we couldn't tell that at all. And okay, I saw you going back to the whole cipher thing for a second. In the first Q&A that we had with Jason, we were joking about that thing, and he's like, "Yeah, you have to like count the number of beard hairs I have, and then you have to throw this into like a cipher and everything, and then that will give you a secret for something." It was just I just remembered that it was funny and whatnot. But okay, so I've not heard this trailer before, so I'm gonna let it play through, so that way I can actually hear all the audio. And then there was a few things with this map that like it's just like development wise that they talked about. That was kind of cool that they didn't really mention at the actual event. So
Lady McKendrick may be of a higher class than you are used to mixing with, huh?
Ah, Bruno, my French friend. The lady will be so lost in my eyes and enthralled in my tales, she will not even notice when I make my move.
Tick, tick, tick. Timing, as always, is everything. While you and Lady McBlahblah head off to do whatever it is that you're going to do,
Shaw will collect the key.
allowing us access to the Millionaire Suite.
Well, we will deal with any unwanted guests.
When you say deal with, I have to ask, how?
I will launch, how you say, charm offensive.
Okay, I'm with you so far, but what did you call this?
this part reminded me of Call of the Dead instantly. It just made me feel like Call of the Dead.
Used for the conveyance of small packages throughout the vessel. They will carry our surprise down to the cargo room. It really should be quite exciting.
And after the detonation?
That's where I come in.
Given that the artifact...
Everyone's
is
new
securely
waifu,
locked within the safe,
Scarlet.
may I ask how you plan to get through 2 inches of solid steel?
I've got just the thing. A mechanism of my own invention.
What does it do?
It opens things.
And then we finally get the mask.
Obviously, your father made some enemies during his travels.
That's a pretty big understatement.
If I may
Which, okay, I want to pause it there for a
think you were
second.
about to ask.
If you notice, he had like the burning red eye in his head. If you remember the teaser image that we got from Treyarch, it had that third eye right there as well. So
Miss Rhodes expected us to encounter any opposition.
It's possible. Likely, even.
What of the other valuables? Are we to secure them also?
Just the artifact. We're not thieves.
What are we then?
All that stands between humanity and the forces of evil.
I love that. I love the new box. I love it. And we're assuming these are all their specialist abilities, by the way. I don't know if that's what the Reddit's been saying or people in general. We're all presuming that's going to be their specialist abilities. And then we have the Titanic. Which I didn't even, like, I saw the iceberg and we just were like, oh, it's supposed to be like that, the Titanic and everything. But I never saw the little life raft there at the end. So we'll see. They said the characters don't have special abilities. They might be able to unlock them, or maybe they're like their special abilities that you can pick up through the box or something. But they wouldn't show off all those things if they're not going to be in the game. I would assume that they're going to somehow be playable and accessible and such. So, but besides all of that, yeah, the Viking statues, I know we were thinking at the event that's like, okay, that's probably the perk machines. Like, I mean, that makes pretty much sense. The new mystery box,
Bruno,
I
my
love it.
French friend.
Like it has like the 5 skulls that are glowing blue on the front. Oh, I loved how the new box looked in general. It was so cool. But in regards to this map, Jason said that this map is very large. Probably, I don't remember if he said it was the largest out of the 3, but he said it was very, very large. I do remember he said that.
You and, Lady McBlabla head off to do whatever it is that you're going to do.
No, to go. Okay, so when it comes to this universe, in terms of like perks and all those things and such, they're going to more than likely do the same things.
I have to ask.
More than likely they're going to do the same things, but they're just going to be named different. Like they're just going to be like this universe's equivalent of the same things from the past. That's the best way for me to describe it.
Pneumatic tubes used for the conveyance of small packages throughout the vessel. They will.
But yeah, again, in terms of this map, even we still weren't really told that much.
Exciting.
Other than like it's the largest map, they wanted to go really crazy on it, but then they were like, okay, we're just gonna have to leave this this door.
After the detonation,
We're just gonna lock this door because we don't have time to be focused on it, you know. So.
Dare I ask how you plan to get through 2 inches of solid steel?
I've got just the thing.
You hope it's not a rinse and repeat for all the maps that have artifact bad guys sabotage it, zombies. Well, the thing with this universe right now is that they're going to be literally, they can go anywhere. Any historical moment in the past, they can go and they can just go there, and we can create a story from it. And it allows you to go to so many new places for zombies that like we always wanted to with the old storyline, but because of story reasons and canon ties and everything, you could never do. So this allows them to do everything they didn't. They can't. The other storyline, they can do it with the new one. So I'm excited to see what happens. And it's, I don't know. I'm more excited about 9. I know the majority of people are excited with this map, but I am so much more excited for 9 personally. Like it's just something about the allure of that map has me more interested in it. Drawing Jeff Kaplan as a beach girl. Easter egg. I feel like they could do like small sort of like Overwatch Easter eggs. Be like, oh yeah, this is going to be a reference to this or something now. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if they would do that, but they definitely could, to say the least. But I'm trying to think about how I want to do this next part. How do I want to do this? Because obviously next is the Blood of the Dead trip. Okay, here's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to talk about what I talked with Lee Ross first, while this trailer just kind of plays on loop. And then we'll go... I'll let... The lovely puppy dog. Yoshi, come here. Come here. Come over here. Come on. Jump up. Hey. Come on. Jump up. Come on. Come on. Oh my goodness, dog. You're a baby. You're a baby. Okay. Anyway, now that we've quieted the hound, I'm gonna talk about what I talked about with Lee Ross first, and then we'll come back to Blood of the Dead and all the stuff with Jason, because there are some things that we got Jason answers for that nobody has talked about yet, and there are some other things that we'll see. We'll see. But anyway, so at the event, Lee Ross was there as well. He was kind of hanging around where the zombies people and what were not. So after we did our first Q&A session with Jason and Craig, Lee was there. He was standing outside the room, and I started talking to him and whatnot. One of the first things I did, I gave him a bit of trouble. I was like, yeah, you remember that whole Twitter thing from Zombies in Spaceland, to where I didn't get shouted out at all for being rolled first, and other people did for getting second? I gave him a little bit of shit for that. And he just kind of like grinned and smiled. He's like, I had to do it. I was like, it's become a meme now. It's not anything serious. And he's like, yeah, I get it. But anyway, when it came to Lee, like, first off, he is the chillest dude to talk to. I loved talking to him because it was like, it was me, it was COD Zombies HQ. I don't remember if Nick was with us at the time or not, but it was just a bunch. We were just sitting there, kind of chit-chatting with him because we were waiting for our recording event. And we learned a lot of cool things about Extinction and Infinite Warfare Zombies in general. I'll talk about Extinction first because there's only one point of it. But if you guys remember the very first Extinction map, Point of Contact, you guys remember at the very end of that level to where it was the giant crater? To where, like, we're going there to activate the nuke and then run out?
What does it do?
Well, initially, there was supposed to be, and I don't remember if it's going to be the Kraken, but he wanted a giant boss cryptid to come out of that, to come out of the crater before we ran away from the nuke exploding and everything. That's what he initially wanted. But then he was like, they went away from that idea because they wanted to, like, save, like, their biggest hitters for the DLC, and he felt like if they did that for the first DLC, or the first map in general, sorry, if they did that for the first map in general, it might be too overwhelming, and they didn't want to, like, get people too, I don't want to say get too excited. He didn't want, like, people, I don't know, he wanted to save it for later, just, you know, that way when it came to every DLC, there was something bigger and bigger and bigger to it. And having that on the first map, he felt like would be too big. I guess that's the way that I'm wanting to phrase it. So that was cool to learn about Extinction and everything. Because, again, I love Extinction. I know people don't like Ghost, but I love Extinction. So that was cool to talk to him about that a little bit. And then when it comes to Infinite Warfare itself, I talked a lot to him about Ghost and Skulls. Because, I mean, like, so throughout the last year, he sent out more information about, like, what some of the development things were like and everything. Well, Ghosts and Skulls specifically was never supposed to go past Zombies in Spaceland. It was something they only were planning for that map. And then after they saw how much the community, like, loved hunting and doing it and playing it, after the first map, that's when they threw it into the rotation cycle for all of the other maps. So that was really cool. I just always thought it was supposed to be there for every single map. It was just going to be a permanent side Easter egg. But no, they didn't decide that until after, until after Zombies in Spaceland. So I thought that was really, really cool. I'm going to play the other trailer, just so we're not watching the same thing over and over and over. What else did I learn about Ghosts and Skulls? There was one other thing. Oh! Shaolin Shuffle. Oh, okay, there was a couple other things in relation to Ghosts and Skulls. So with Ghosts and Skulls, you know how the actual, like, game of it works. You get sucked into the machine, and then from there you destroy the skulls in some manner. Well, initially, it was just supposed to be like every other arcade game that existed in, like, Afterlife Arcade and Zombies in Spaceland. You go up to the machine, and it's just like you're looking at the actual screen playing a game. That was the initial plan for it. And then Lee said that a developer figured out this cool viewpoint from inside the machine to where you were looking back out of it. And as soon as he saw that, he was like, oh, we have to do that. That's so, he loved the idea instantly. And he was like, okay, so this is what we're going with. So that was really cool to learn. Because, like, could you imagine what Ghost of Skulls would have been like if it was just another arcade game? Like from Afterlife Arcade? I don't think many people would be as, like, interested in it if it would have been something like that. So that was a really, really good decision from them. And then the other interesting bit that I learned about Ghosts and Skulls specific, that's just what we ended up talking about a lot, was that Shaolin Shuffle's Ghosts and Skulls game was initially supposed to be like a pinball, to where, like, skulls would get, like, bounced off of bumpers, and you were, like, shooting Ghost up, and it was supposed to come down and hit skulls and everything. It was supposed to initially be like a pinball game, which that would have been so cool. But he just said, like, they couldn't get it to work or something, so that's why they ended up going with what they did. But that was really, really cool. And we got to talk to Lee for like 30 minutes or so. We just talked to him about everything. We talked about like boss fights and like how everyone loves Mephistopheles. And he said he was happy that everyone ended up loving it as too. Like his philosophy, he started talking a little bit about just his mindset for boss fights and everything. It was just, I don't know. It was really chill to talk to him. Really cool to like get in his head, see what he was wanting to say and everything. So that was just, it was really, really, really cool to actually get to meet him finally and talk to him. He didn't show up at the mixer afterwards. I was wanting to talk to him a little bit more, but he didn't show up at the mixer afterwards. So that was a little disappointing, but I mean, I still got to talk to him, so that's okay. And again, I said this beforehand, Cameron was there, but we didn't get to talk to him, sadly, because I was just going to ask him, and Star hit me up before the trip. He's like, hey, when Cameron's there, find him and see what he's supposed to be sending us, and just see if you can get it from him then. But we never got to run into him or talk to him, so that was a little sad. But you never know. We might get to talk to him more later on and everything. Okay, dog, you gotta get off my lap. Thank you. But okay. So, that's all the side things. Now is going to come the really, 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 really interesting part of everything. I guess that's the way I'm gonna phrase it. The really, really interesting part of it. So let me play the Blood of the Dead trailer. I'm playing this for a reason, so. You love this song, do you?
Where are we going?
Do you? Okay, so I'm just gonna let this one loop for a little bit. Well, actually, okay, so I'm gonna backtrack to the first thing we were talking about in the Q&A thing. The first Q&A that we had with Jason and Craig, yeah, they did. Okay, I wasn't sure if anyone said that yet or not, Gangster. I wasn't sure if anyone said that yet or not. So this is the room where we had our first Q&A. Treyarch tweeted, or they didn't tweet, they Instagrammed this image out and everything. And we were sitting here, Jason and everyone was over here. But right here, there was this TV. And on this TV, there was one file folder that said, stuff. Our group never had time to get into the folder. We never had time to get into the folder. We were trying to be like, hey, stop asking questions so we can ask about the folder, but we didn't get into it. But once we all started heading back to the hotel, Noah, John's group, and all of them, they told us that they got into it. And so in this file folder, Jason told them pick one of two things. There was an image file and there was an audio file. And the audio file was the entire version of the entire new version of Where Are We Going. Obviously, we couldn't go in there. We couldn't record anything. But they said it just sound. This is not what the. Stop that. No, play this one on loop. But there was the entire new version of Where Are We Going. And they said it just sounded amazing, and that we don't know what the image file was. I don't think any, because there was us two zombie groups, and then I think there was like a press group. But us ourselves, our group never got to go into the folder. But John and Noah's group theirs did. and they said it was simply amazing. It was the full version of the song, completely reworked, redone. Not like how the Giant remixed it, the dubstep, but they said there was like new lyrics. It was the same style of song, but different, like how it sounds in the trailer. It was just... They said it was just... It sounded amazing. It was just... I wish I could have heard it. I wish I could have seen what the image file is, because I don't think anyone got to see it. Like, anyone at all. So that is just kind of like, oh, what's it going to be now? But Jason did say... One other thing that he said as a side note. Actually, let me go ahead and play all 3 of these on loop while we're just talking about things. Okay, there. Okay, there. So we'll just play through them all in general. But, so, in regards to Blood of the Dead, first off, my theory, and I'm just talking about theories for a second. I'm not sitting here. I don't want to talk too much about theories or what things could be. As soon as we saw that trailer, I tweeted out, I was like, here's my theory. Blood of the Dead is going to be when they transport it to Mob of the Dead to get the blood vials for everyone else. And that kind of blew up as, like, probably, I would say, the leading theory. A bunch of people were trying to be like, oh yeah, Blood of the Dead. It's going to be after Revelations and everything. But none of the other characters have the blood vials on them. Like, Richtofen has always had them, right? And people were trying to say, oh yeah, they're empty and whatnot. The blood vials aren't empty. It's the way that the textures load. It's not anything like that. And speaking of that, which and whatnot, have you ever wondered why Treyarch has never... This leads into the conversations that we've had with Jason and everything. Have you ever wondered why Treyarch has never done pre-rendered cutscenes and trailers and everything? Have you guys ever wondered that? Well, the reason for that is because of the people who go into the code. And this was some of the cool stuff that we started learning with Jason and everything. If you do a pre-rendered cutscene and everything, you then have to basically have subtitles that go with it. And the subtitles are very hard to encrypt themselves. So, although you can have the video file to where it can still be encrypted and whatnot, you have a situation to where, like, it was Revelations, and since the subtitles was there, you could still get the subtitles. So that's why they always try to do all of their cutscenes, all of their trailers, or not necessarily trailers, but cutscenes are all in-game engine. So that way, people can't go in and try to get the cutscenes earlier. Because Jason he specifically referenced Origins and how much it hurt him for all that stuff to get out there before the community found it. So that was interesting in general to talk about. But going off of this and whatnot, Jason said they've super ramped up their security and coding and everything. So basically, the way it's going to work now is that everything's encrypted. That can be, right? Everything, as much as it's going to do, is going to be as encrypted as it can get. However, the way that they now have their encryption system set up is to where even if somebody is able to break the hash code to get into the files and unpack it the right way, they can instantly push out like a game fix or a hot fix, and they can change the encryption pattern. So then if people are wanting to get into them, they'll have to retry and get into it again. So it's not like once someone breaks in, then you know everything. They're going to be able to constantly be updating it to where if it happens, then they can instantly lock it down again. So that's really, really, really cool, I feel like. So that was the first kind of cool thing that I'll label it as cool thing that we got to talk to him about. Okay, I'm trying to get my rest of my notes out because I wrote down all my notes because we got some Jason answers out of the things I asked, and I'm trying to say it exactly the way that I can. okay, going back to Black Ops 3 for a second, because some of us were asking questions about Black Ops 3 and everything. So, you remember how Zetsubo was really, really buggy? Had a lot of death barriers and a lot of problems when it launched?
Bruno, my French friend.
Well, there's a reason for that. There's an actual reason for that. That's not just poor game design or anything. So, with the start of Zetsubo, that is when they started planning and getting the underlying mechanics to work for Black Ops 4. So they basically rewrote for the majority of how things worked in zombies at that point. So whenever a bug or an error popped up, and this new, it's not a new engine, just like the way that the mechanics in-game worked. Whenever a new problem would show up and everything, they couldn't like instantly fix it. Because if you think about with the way that it used to be, if something broke, they basically knew how to instantly fix it because it happened in the past.
Okay, I'm with you so far.
So at the start of Zetsubo, they changed the underworking of zombies in general to get prepared for Black Ops 4 and everything. So that's why Zetsubo, at least why I think, was so problematic at launch. That's why the last 3 maps had a bunch of bugs. More than likely, yes.
And after the detonation?
That's
when they started adding the DLC weapons to the box too. Well, that's also when they started, like, that's when Shadows of Evil changed in terms of, like, Gobblegums, the Margwas, a bunch of things. It was around that March time to where, like, they started doing all these more new things. It's reasoning, but doesn't excuse them for... Well, it's not an excuse. But if you're having something completely new mid-game cycle, there's going to be a lot of problems. Anyway, I'm just saying, the start of Black Ops 4 essentially started code-wise during Zetsubo, in a sense.
It's possible.
Because the one thing Jason said that he really regretted for Black Ops 3 was, I guess the best way for me to phrase it is the lack of replayability. And it's not the best way to phrase it, but like other than like just doing the Easter egg or just playing for rounds, he said he regretted not having other things for players to do. It's the one thing he really, really didn't like. So that's why for Black Ops 4, they're having such an emphasis on like the mutations and the callings and zombies rush mode. So that way we have everything to where we can just constantly keep going back and playing all these different ways. Mods fix that? No, they don't, Agent. You have one map every couple of months, but you don't replay it. But anyway, he said that was probably his biggest regret they have with 3, and that's why they have been working so much on the whatchamacallit, I can't. English is failing me right now. On the mutations and the callings and all those things. So I get that. This learning about that was really, really cool. And I brought up, because while we were talking all this, I talked about the Shadows of Evil changes and everything. And that brought up the discussion about Gobblegums. And Jason got really passionate about this while we were talking about it. Because all of this discussion came when we were in the hotel. It was a much more relaxed environment. We were just kind of, everyone was chit-chatting a bit. So we talked about Gobblegums. Every time they had a conversation about Gobblegums within the studio itself, they said things got really, really heated. It got really, really, really intense. Hang on, let me add the other trailer into this. It got really, really intense and everything because they liked that the Gobblegums let you play differently to a degree. But the one thing they didn't like, they didn't want it to seem like there was becoming a paywall. They didn't want people feeling like they were dependent on it. And whenever they were talking about changes they could do to Gobblegums they were adding, they said there were a lot of arguments about like what they should and shouldn't do. And like he got really, really passionate. Like Like, I know we all give shit because, like, microtransactions, money, gobblegums, you know? But, like, you could tell they honestly did their best to not have... to try to make things as neutral as they could the entire time. I will get to that in a second, Snicker, because that goes into another conversation I want to talk about with one of my Jason answers. So, power vacuum. Well, it was funny, specifically about power vacuum, because Milo was there as well while we were having this discussion with Jason and Craig, and Milo was trying to talk about it from like a neutral stance, because like he's a story person, and I was basically the gameplay. Me and Milo make the perfect couple, to where like he's the story and he loves the story and goes hard def in it. And for me, I go hard def into the gameplay mechanics and everything, right? So I was kind of like, I don't say Milo's defense, but like I was his side buddy whenever it came to talking about the gameplay mechanics and whatnot. And we talked about Gobblegums a little bit earlier, like leading into this part. And he was saying something about Gobblegums. I was like, yeah, you ignore power vacuum and everything else as well. And Jason just burst out laughing. He's like, he like basically lost his shit when I was like, ignore power vacuum and the rest of the Gobblegums are good. He absolutely lost it when I said that. Cause I think he agrees to a point that power vacuum ended up being at one of those things to where it was like they wish it wasn't so game breaking, but it ended up being like that way. So it was pretty interesting to say the least. But yeah, they honestly do their best to try to keep Gobblegums balanced. And they don't want people feeling like they're dependent on them, but they want people to use them still. So it's the best way to talk about it and discuss it and such. So, the next thing, and this now transitions into the difference between BO3 and BO4. So obviously with mutations and callings and everything and whatnot, one thing Jason mentioned, I think he mentioned it on the stream as well, was that they're removing the max round cap. There's not going to be a max round anymore. Well, we asked them more about that. Well, I specifically asked. Okay, maybe it wasn't me. I don't remember exactly. Someone asked. That's all I remember. But they were like, okay, so what was the reasoning for that round cap ever in the past? We were like, is it because of like console limitations, memory issues? And he said it was literally just a number that they picked out. It was never a memory issue. It was never console limitations. Like, obviously, consoles will have issues if they're on for too long or whatnot. But the game itself, they just picked 255, 256 just because they just picked it. That was it.
Pneumatic tubes used for the conveyance of small packages.
And that was, it was really interesting to learn that. It was like, huh. It was just like, all this time we always thought it was because of the memory issues and everything. It was just a magic number that they just picked.
And after
so like they said, he removed the round cap and everything. So because like with mutations and everything, you can start wherever you want.
I've got just the thing.
So he then said the new round cap that they have implemented, the new round cap, the numbers that it extends to could possibly not even fit on the screen. I doubt that would ever happen. I don't know if they'll ever let you actually reach that point, even with mutations. But the new round cap is technically, the numbers won't even fit on the screen.
It's possible. Likely, even.
You wonder if they thought no one would get to 255? I don't know.
All that stands
I don't know
between humanity
about that.
and the forces of evil.
But to go back and talking about high rounding for a second. So obviously, whenever you high round, obviously what's the one thing that increases? Zombie health and the number of zombies per round. Well, with the round cap removed, I asked him straight up, I was like, okay, So, once we get past round 255 or whatever round number they choose, how is the difficulty of the game going to continue to increase? And the way that he stated this, and I'm going to try to read this back as best as I could remember. The way that he phrased it, and let me find it in my notes. Okay, so what's the best way for me to phrase this? Once you get to a certain high round, there is only so much that only modifying the zombie's health can do. So as the rounds increase, other factors will now be increasing as well. So whether that means we might be getting like Verruct runners again, or maybe like they'll be able to leap, or whatever it is, I don't know. But now as you continue to go higher in the rounds, other variables are going to be getting adjusted alongside of it. So that's going to be something that will be very, very, very interesting to keep track of. I'll talk about that in a second, Leech. Don't get ahead of me. We'll talk about mutations and experience and everything once we get there. So yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. Well, actually, I guess we can actually talk about that now. It actually ties in perfectly now to what we're talking about. So this was my one question I really, really wanted to ask Jason. Like, everyone kind of like, hell yeah, we really want to ask this, or really want to ask this, yada yada. This was my big question that I wanted to ask him. And I approached it to him, and I was like, okay. So in terms of zombies rank in game and everything, are we going to have like a Black Ops 3 style system to where it's prestiges and then massive prestige? Are we going to have a Black Ops 2 style to where it's more skill based and you got the shotguns, knife, skull, bones, all those things? Or is it going to be a mixture of them? Well, the way that he phrased it was... How am I going to say his phrasing of it? Because I'm trying to remember exactly what he said. Like, I wrote most of it down. He said... I'll do it as I have it written down. A system would be in place that would also help correlate with the daily, weekly, and annual events that also can be taking place with mutations and such. Now, what does that exactly mean? I don't know. To me, it sounds like we might be getting an Overwatch-style SR system, because I told Milo about this, and Milo said someone asked him if rounds were going to be counting towards, like, levels and everything again. And he gave like another like Jason and vague answer about it. So I don't think we're going to be seeing a traditional ranking system. I think it's going to be a mixture of like numbers and what we had in BO2. Does that mean it could be like SR system for Overwatch? Yes. But is it going to be exactly like that? I don't know. But that's the one thing to where I could get super, super, super into it. Because, again, this is something they want to support for years. And with the daily, weekly mutations and the callings and all these things, they can throw specific challenges at you to where you can go and try and get ranked in them and maybe get rewards and such out of them. So, I am very, very interesting to see where that Jason answer is going to end up coming out of once we get into, once we learn more and such. So, what's above? Okay, I have one more thing to talk about. And then afterwards, I will give you as much. You guys can ask questions as much as you want, and we'll go from there. So let me do this one last thing, and this is about Blackout, or the Battle Royale mode in Zombies. So, my last question that I ended up asking him for me personally, Because someone brought up about like if our accounts could like track Easter eggs permanently, like the total number of times that we've ever done like a single Easter egg per map and whatnot. I think it was Greg. Greg brought it up. He was like, "Is that something that people would want or whatnot?" And we were like, "We're not really sure, to be honest." But going off like his Easter egg question, I asked, "Okay, what about a possible Easter egg reward that once you completed the Easter egg on a certain map, you unlocked a zombie character skin for the Battle Royale mode?" And Jason's answer to me was this: character skins sure are interesting, aren't they? So, it looks like we're going to be getting different character skins potentially for playing. So that will be interesting. Get your damn BRs out of my zombies. Well, like, again, we saw, like, the Rick Toffin on the ATV at the actual reveal event in Charlie and whatnot, right? But this is, like, basically implying that we're going to be able to choose skins in zombies and such. Now, I don't think we're going to be able to, like, choose characters still. I think they're going to be random because that's why they're adding, like, the bots to zombies, to where if you're a solo player, you can still kind of get that co-op experience. So I don't think you're going to be able to actually choose your character. But potentially, we might be getting actual zombie skins. So I'm interested to see where that's going to go. I'm very interested to see how that's eventually going to end up playing out down the line. And they really said you can pick a character? That's not what they told us. Unless you're talking about the Battle Royale side. Because I remember someone asked, and they never really told us. And maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe I misheard. So skins ruin the story feeling. The story feeling you're only going to get the first time you complete it, and then after that you're playing for fun. So if, you know, it goes back to the whole campaign discussion. You don't go replaying campaign multiple times. You play it once for the story, and then you never touch it again. Why do you think campaign's not back? And yeah, you don't even have to use alternate skins either, right? It's that same thing. But okay, anyway, for zombie questions, I've talked about everything that I know and I can think of. Obviously, other people asked other questions that I can't remember or think of, and those were their questions. So if they want to talk about them, that's fine. But those were the things that I remembered, I learned, I heard about, I asked. My Jason answers that I got, and I was, oh, I don't think I told you guys this. I completely skipped over this. Jason knew about the death barrier for Gorod Krovi. It made my day. Because, like, I introduced myself to him. I was like, do you ever remember the death barrier on Gorod Krovi?
When I make my move.
And he was like, oh, yeah. I was like, yeah, that was me. He knew about the death barrier on Gorod Krovi. It made my day. So, I was happy. that was me being happy in a nutshell. So, okay, anyway, you guys have any zombie questions that I can try to answer? No one played it there. The only secretive things were the whole Mob of the Dead, new Mob of the Dead song that one group got to hear. There's another image that nobody got to saw. So,
I will launch how you say.
what about Easter eggs and mutations? Can we do Easter egg on easy mode? I don't know if you could be able to do Easter egg on a lower difficulty.
Okay, I'm with you
Not
so
sure
far.
about that.
What did
But
you
will you be able to do Easter eggs with mutations? Yeah, you will be able to.
Tubes.
Perks?
Used for the conveyance
They
of
didn't say
small
anything
packages
specific.
throughout the vessel. They will
Just
carry
basically
us
imagine
down
that
to
perks
cargo.
are going to be reimagined in this
It really should be
universe.
quite
Like, they're going to
exciting.
be the same perks, but just different names, and implied differently into the alchemy world.
And
You know you're in the minority here, but you played every campaign since Modern Warfare. Well, like, there is still a campaign. There's the zombie storyline Easter eggs, which, I mean, it's Easter eggs, and a lot of people don't like doing them. But that is a storyline, and then each specialist and multiplayer has its own story that you can play. So there are still stories, like mini campaigns you can play. So
enemies during his travels.
That's a pretty.
you're curious about how XP and rewards tie into the mutations and all of that, how it will work. A lot of it depends on what the ranking system will be. If it ends up being like an Overwatch style system, which it strongly is being hinted towards, I don't know. It'll be interesting.
We're not thieves.
Will there be grief? He didn't say if there are going to be any more game modes added or not. I would assume that with him talking about how there's going to be like the daily, weekly, and annual like events going on in game, that they're going to have maybe zombie events. Not will that be new game modes? Potentially, but they might just be different preset mutations that you can go and be like, hey, if you do this mutation on this day, you can unlock a skin or camo or something, you know? So, can you give us a quick zombie storyline rundown? No. Because I'm a gameplay dude, and that's how I kept, like, making sure I was known there. Because, like, I follow the story, I know the story, I'll keep tabs on it. But, like, foremost in everything, I love the gameplay. I love playing the game. So maybe like a Destiny 2 Nightfall system, mutations can increase. Yeah, that's a good way of thinking about it with the Nightfalls from Destiny and such. Okay, about solo runs. Would there be much more zombies because there could be 4 players? I would assume so, yeah. He did say in the first Q&A section, somebody asked how advanced the AI system would be for like Easter eggs and such. And he said they're not like advanced enough to where like the AI will hold the zombies while you go do all the Easter egg steps. But they said they're advanced enough to at least like play around with you. And that way, and this is one thing that I know for the story people have always talked about in the old games, to where if you play solo, you don't get all those dialogue quotes between all the characters. But now if you feel like playing solo, you can throw in the bots with the other characters, and you still get all those dialogue lines. So what excited me the most personally? All the game modes. The mutations, the callings, all of that. That, hands down, was what interested me the most. Will they kill the last zombie while doing the Easter egg step? I feel like they're probably programmed to where, like, not be able to kill the last zombie of a round unless it's been on the map for, like, an X amount of time. That would be my guess. I don't know, though. Obviously, they weren't really too active on it. They said they're still planning on new things, even. Because, like, when we were at the event, in general, he was like, yeah, if you guys have any ideas that people would like, let us know. We're still, like, adding things in. So, so like, there's still a lot of things that might get added that we haven't seen or know about, or they even know about yet. Any hints about a possibility of Zombie Chronicles 2 at the end? I don't know anything. No. Do I think the AI will help you with an Easter egg step? Potentially. I mean, I don't know. Again, when it comes to the AI, you guys really know as much as we do. So, will Jason get a Twitter? He talked about that a little bit. He doesn't really understand how to use it and everything. He's like, he was joking around a little bit. He's like, yeah, people keep trying to get me get on Twitter, but I just don't know how to use the damn thing. So, do I think this and the OG storyline will connect at some point? Personally, yes. I personally think that the worlds will bleed at some point in time, but I have no idea how they're going to get by with that and such. So, do you think we'll get some cool melee wonder weapons in 9? Well, if you, again, I don't know how many, I guess a lot of you didn't see this picture. Can I full screen this? I don't think I can. This picture was in the Q&A room that we had. And these are like all the melee weapons that like we saw in the trailer and everything, to a degree. But like we have the staff here. We have, this is a sawed-off shotgun that made us all think that it was like a sawed-off blunderbuss. But that, I mean, that thing looked cool up close and whatnot. But I don't know. When it comes to how many weapons we'll see on the map 9, it's hard to say. It might only be this one gun here, potentially. But, yeah. Did he talk about the size of the maps compared to BO3? He did. The only thing that we know is that Voyage is a large map. Maybe the largest. At least out of the 3. But he said Voyage was going to be a large map. Aside from the Collins mutations, did he talk about zombie challenges? Referring to the ones in Blops 3. Well, the Collins and mutations evolve into that. So it's basically the same thing. Voyage is that. Okay, go ahead, put in chat which one you are the. Actually, let me just do this real quick. Oh, I got you. Computers. Let me make a straw poll. I'm really, out of you guys here right now, I'm really interested to see which ones you got. I've seen the YouTube numbers, but I want to know which ones you guys are the most interested to you. So we have 9. We have Voyage. And we have Blood of the Dead. Okay, okay. Grateful. Okay, here, if you guys... Oh god, that's not how you copy and paste things. Oh, now there's an echo. Okay, if you guys want to go there and vote, you can. Me, personally, I'm the most interested in 9. But we'll see how this goes. If you guys want to vote on there, I'll be curious to see. There's already some crossover with the Safe Company in the Void trailer. Yeah, I've seen some things about that, but how much they actually connect other than just like fun references, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Come on, vote! Vote, I'm curious. I want to see what you guys know. I have to manually refresh it, which is stupid. But 9 is the last one for you. Well, on the YouTube like view counters and everything, Blood of the Dead is the lowest, which that kind of surprised me. I was expecting a lot of people to be like, "Oh yeah, fuck the new people. We only want to see, you know, we only want to see the new stuff, right?" But fuck new people. We only want to see the old stuff. Sorry, said that wrong. But yeah, like the YouTube views, Voyage was by far the most advanced. So, okay, you guys aren't voting. You're making me sad. There's over 200 of you here. You guys saddened me. Okay, well anyway, even off of that, Voyage, you guys were the most interested in. You voted. I figured there'd be more people that would vote on it. Yeah, right. Clearly. Guess you're all just bots now. Why am I so interested in 9? The atmosphere. The whole being in that arena combat system. Or not arena combat system, but just like gladiator combat system. It's just what really dragged me into it. So... There's no option for no preference at the moment. I guess that's fair. Yeah. Milo said that Blood of the Dead will have new stuff like a new layout. Yeah. It's not just a simple remastering. They're adding things to it. Like, you'll be on Alcatraz, but it's not going to be like Mob of the Dead Alcatraz. It's going to be different. So... Is 9 going to be a zombies battle royale? I don't think so. I doubt it. Now, what will be interesting, and I never thought about this, what if for the general Call of Duty battle royale? Because right now the theory for the Call of Duty battle royale is that they're going to take a bunch of maps in general and just throw them together. I never thought about this till now, but what if they add zombie maps into the multiplayer map mixture for battle royale? Never thought about that, but that would be interesting. I have no idea about that, Kitty. If Afterlife will come back or not, I'm not sure. Some people are like, oh, maybe we'll have Beast Mode instead of Afterlife on the map. So, I mean, that's a plausible theory. But who knows? Am I excited for the BR mode? I'm interested in it. I remember I was talking to Chopper, and I might start playing PUBG with Stomper. Excuse me. I might start playing PUBG with like Chopper and whatnot, because PUBG is the closest thing to what this battle royale will be. So, I'm interested in it. I'm more interested in it than the base multiplayer, but we'll see. That's about what we're going. Because again, the zombies and the mutations is where I am the most interested in, and that's what has me so crazy over it. I am so excited for it. So,
For your safe return.
no, they're not gonna 3 storylines at once. It's crazy. The one thing that a lot of us were not prophesizing, but wondering about was if we have 2 storylines now. So is it probable that each DLC is going to be 2 maps, 1 for each storyline now? So every DLC is going to be multiple zombie maps? Could be interesting. COD engine can barely handle 9v9. Okay, when it comes to players, on my flight back, there was someone for like a press. They were at the event for press reasonings. I talked to him a little bit on my flight home and everything. And supposedly, the rumor that was going around the press was that it wouldn't be above 50. Because like supposedly someone said that like it could handle like 40 or 50 or something, and that's where they all started going with it. But I don't know. Again, that's just kind of, I guess, the rumor going around the press now. Because at first it was 140, and we're all just like, there's no way that's happening. The game won't ever be able to handle that. So, it's not even a BR at that point? Well, no, it's not like the other BRs. Call of Duty BR is going to be successful. They have to do it their own way. They have to do things that work for their system, not things that worked for every other system. So get out of the mindset that it has to be like everything else. Maybe the BR will work as another app. One idea that was being thrown around for Battle Royale is that potentially to play the Battle Royale mode, you have to own that year's version of Call of Duty. So basically, by owning the physical copy, or not just the physical, digital too, but like, if you own that year's version of Call of Duty, it gives you access to then go play the Battle Royale mode. And so like for this year, the BR mode, since it's Treyarch, the map itself would be like all Treyarch maps. And then next year, whenever Infinity Ward's game would come out, all the maps that would consist of the Battle Royale mode then would be all the Infinity Ward maps. And every year, it would basically cycle through what maps could be thrown into the giant concoction of everything. That was what was a very strong idea floating around the event and everything. But okay, is there anything anything else question-wise that you guys are interested in for everything in general? I'll go ahead and throw my actual multiplayer gameplay back up. Is there anything else at all that you guys are interested in that I have not already talked about or answered? Let me phrase that, because I don't want to keep answering the same things over and over and over again. Do we mention anything about Victus crew? Nothing at all was even talked about with Victus at the event. Nothing at all got even talked about with it. Oh gosh, Rogue. Was I surprised that all 3 maps were on disc? Yes. I was very, very surprised by it, actually. It brings up the question as to where, if we're getting 3 on-map disc for zombies, if we're getting 3 on-map disc, does that mean that potentially a 4th map could be coming with a season pass, potentially? If there's going to be a traditional season pass, even? It's hard to say. I don't know. Do I like the cursor in the menu? Yes. It's very Destiny style, and I love it.
Securing Bravo.
Do I think there's going to be a Dead Ops 3? I don't know, to be honest. I feel like no. I feel like it's such an undervalued... Well, not undervalued. It's just an...
Bravo locked down.
It's something like campaign that people can go there and they'll play it once or something and then never touch it again. And for zombies, well, it's just... I don't think they're going to waste time in it.
All locations locked down. Dig in and hold them.
Have I pre-ordered yet? No. Because there were some things that I heard to where there's might be a zombies edition. Some other people were probing Jason and them, and the only thing they could get out of like a special edition idea was like it's an item that you can use. That's the only thing they got out of like a special edition. So that doesn't even mean that it's zombies related. It's just the special edition will have something that you can use.
Losing B.
I feel like the guns need to be zoomed in a little. I don't know what you mean by that, but okay. I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that. Did I like the health regeneration? It was different. It's something that you just have to get used to. It's not something that will be...
Never saw that coming, huh?
I don't want to say game breaking. It's just... It's a new mechanic. It's not something that... It doesn't really disrupt the flow. But it's just something new that you have to think of. That's the best way for me to think about it. So...
Losing B. Lost Bravo.
There's like everyone will just use the stim shot. Well, no, maybe. I don't know.
Slams up. Wouldn't want
We'll just see. Yeah, the grapple hook was by far the most fun specialist for me to use. This was Ruin.
Bravo secure.
So, okay, I'm not really seeing any new questions. It's just a lot of it's just kind of things that like we've talked about or whatever that I've already mentioned. So, other than that, I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up there. If you want to go back and watch or listen to any of this, the whole thing's been recording. I'm gonna put this up on YouTube. It's about an hour and a half long, but I'm still gonna put it over on YouTube. That way, it's all there. So if you missed any of it, you can watch it there. The first half was all multiplayer and me just talking about the event, and the second half was basically zombies. It's about the way that it ended up going and everything. So yeah. So anyway, I love you guys. And if you're here in the stream and you're not watching the recording later, thank you guys for hanging out. If you are watching the recording, thank you for checking it out. Hope to see you in the stream soon. And I love you guys.
Net call. Hostile Hellstorm inbound.